What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the rise and fall of the world's largest cannabis company. With a stock of over $70 per share, net worth of $14 billion. We're talking about the very first cannabis company set up to be the world's first Fortune 500 company. They had the government in their back pocket. They fumbled, they stumbled, they tripped, they fell, they tossed the ball before the line. This is the rise and fall of Canopy Growth. Hi everyone, my name is Pigeons, and if you are new here, consider hitting that like button because we do weekly videos, deep dives into subjects and topics with cannabis as a main focus. So we're coming up on the 100,000 subscriber mark, and it would be a pleasure to see you join the flock. But before we do get into this, I want to give a huge shout out to the channel's sponsors. We wouldn't be able to do free content like this every week if it wasn't for AC Infinity. AC Infinity's got top of the line equipment, whether it's inline fans, circulation fans, they've got tents, they've got humidifiers, they've got a controller, 69 Pro that'll make your job in the tent that much easier. It's going to monitor your humidity, your temperature, your VPD. It's going to monitor everything. You go to acinfinity.com, use promo code PIGEONS420. You'll save a few dollars off on checkout, and thank them for being a sponsor of today's video. And of course, a huge shout out to Spider Farmer. Spider Farmer has been a supporter of this channel for a very long time. They've got economical, budget-friendly lights that you can put together all on your own. If you head over to Amazon.com or go to spiderfarmer.ca, use promo code PIGEONS5. You'll save a few dollars off on checkout, and you can check out some of the same lights as me. Personally, I'm using the SE7000, and I love every bit of it. But let's get into today's video. So this story begins in 2013 in Smith Falls, Ontario, with a couple businessmen, Chuck Raffici and Bruce Linton, and the start of their business, Tweed Marijuana Inc. It didn't take long for Tweed to become the country's largest supplier of government-sanctioned cannabis, but more on that in just a minute. About the two guys at the forefront of the operation, Bruce Linton and Chuck Raffici. Bruce Linton is a Canadian entrepreneur and was vice president of an air and water resource preservation company, SC Stormont. Chuck Raffici is a Canadian entrepreneur and at the time was the chief financial officer of the Liberal Party of Canada. The Liberal Party of Canada was the current elected government at the time, and it was speculated that Raffici used his influence and power to help catapult Tweed to the forefront of the industry. Claims both Mr. Raffici and the Liberal Party refute. Politicians wouldn't do that. They're not going to use their power and influence to persuade. No. The company was formed in Smith Falls, Ontario, and secured an old Hershey's manufacturing plant that consisted of 350,000 square feet of indoor space. Within just 8 months, the company grew from 0 to 80 employees, went public on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and raised $24 million from investors and began selling its first products under federal license. Things looked real promising for Linton and Raffici and Tweed as it became Canada's largest distributor of cannabis, but as quickly as success started to soar, turbulence started to take over. In August 2014, the CEO and co-founder Chuck Raffici, who originally controlled 70% of Tweed's cannabis shares, was dismissed. A month after that, he was gone from the board as well. No explanation was offered at the time. However, Raffici would sue 7 months later for wrongful dismissal and was seeking a 12-month severance rather than the 4 he was given, along with $100,000 for mental distress. The company would fire back and argue that he was dismissed because he consistently missed milestones in the renovation of the Smith Fall facilities, and that the company was on its way to insolvency. Regardless of the reasons, Raffici, he would be replaced by Linton as the primary founder, chairman, and CEO, along with a new feller, Mark Zekulin. They together would be the co-CEOs. They would oversee Tweed Inc. acquire and merge with Canadian cannabis company Bedrocan Cannabis Corp. In 2015. This acquisition would unite two of the largest brands in Canadian cannabis and set the mark for the company we have today, Canopy Growth Corporation. Within just the first year of the acquisition, the Financial Post reported that Canopy Growth would be considered Canada's first cannabis unicorn with the $1 billion valuation. A lot of it was in relation to the United States seeing a push for legalization and the expected 2018 legalization of Canadian cannabis in the next 24 months. However, a $1 billion valuation can go straight to your head. And in this case, it did. The company did some very questionable purchases. In addition to the sales in the domestic market, Canopy Growth began selling medical cannabis products in Germany and Brazil in 2016. However, the company was operating at a loss, presumably because of the significant expenditures it was making to acquire competitors in preparation for significantly increased cannabis demand by the recreational use market expected in 2018. In January 2017, Canopy and Metrum Health Corp announced the takeover of Metrum by Canopy. The deal was awaiting approval by the Ontario Supreme Court of Justice. At around the same time the deal had closed, Canopy completed the purchase of the entire former Hershey's chocolate factory, adding an additional 50% more production space to that location. In addition to operations in Canada, Canopy Growth has a partnership agreement in Spain with pharma company Alcaliber, owns a subsidiary in Germany that imports medical cannabis called Spectrum Therapeutics GmbH, and has a partnership with Spectrum Cannabis Denmark, a medical cannabis grower. The company's also involved in the business in Jamaica, Chile, Peru, and Brazil, as well as Australia. In 2018, the company acquired Annabis Medical, a distributor in the Czech Republic, and a medical marijuana supplier, Daddy Can Lesotho, in Africa. In February 2019, Canopy set up a partnership with the Beckley Foundation to distribute medical cannabis in the UK. Unfortunately, many of these purchases and expansions proved to be worthless. Just 5 months after cannabis became legal in Canada in 2018, Canopy Growth was the first federally regulated, licensed, and publicly traded cannabis producer in North America, traded on the Toronto Stock Exchange as weed.
So we became the first to trade on the TSX Venture, and we became the first to move up the TSX, the first to be in the composite index, the first to raise $100 million, the first to raise $200 million. We became the first to do a consolidating transaction to buy a licensed producer, and then we kept buying them.
Just 3 months after Canopy Growth would go public, they would announce a $5 billion deal with Constellation Brands, an American beer, wine, and spirits producer with global markets. This gave Constellation Brands a 38% stake in the company. Bruce was quoted at the time saying that the additional funds would be used to fund international expansion wherever federal law allows it. And of course, that didn't age so well. Later that year, October 17th, 2018, my beautiful country legalized cannabis for recreational use, and the very first sale of cannabis would be made by Bruce Linton in a Tweed dispensary in Newfoundland and Labrador.
It all started in Newfoundland, sitting, of course, a half hour ahead of the rest of Atlantic Canada. It claimed the title, the first to reach legalization, and there was excitement in the air as the very first sales went down.
3, 2, 1.
You think this would be great for a cannabis company, but not even a year after the $5 billion deal in July of 2019, after an emergency board meeting, Bruce Linton would be ousted of all of his roles with Canopy Growth and replaced by his co-CEO, Mark Zucculin.
Now the company says you're stepping aside, you say you were fired. There's a difference, which is it?
So stepping aside, it is true I am stepping aside, and the reason I'm stepping aside is that the board wants to have a different CEO structure. And so I am terminated and out effective immediately. I'm no longer on the board. I'm no longer involved with Rivers or Growth. And Mark, who's been the co-CEO for the last year or two, is working as they define the job description and will help through the transition as they search for the incoming CEO. But I did not ask to leave, and I have no desire to retire because I'm not good at that.
This move came a few days after Constellation Brands, which then held 4 of the 7 Canopy board seats and controlled nearly 40% of the firm, expressed dissatisfaction with the cannabis giant's financial results. Significant losses had been reported during its efforts to increase the size of the greenhouse facilities in BC and Quebec. The fourth quarter 2018 loss had been much greater than expected, with a net loss attributable to shareholders of $335 million. Substantially higher than the net loss that had been predicted by analysts.
It did take a write-down of nearly $900 million on the fair value of its investment in Canopy Growth.
A news reporter summarized the situation as the cannabis company's expenses ballooned, its net losses widened, and medical and recreational sales activities slowed from the previous quarter. Constellation Brands persisted, and CEO Bill Newlands made this comment in late June 2019. We continue to aggressively support Canopy growth on a more focused, long-term strategy to win markets and form factors that matter while paving a clear path to profitability. Today, Canopy growth still struggles.
The cannabis giant coming under pressure today. The company reported second quarter results that disappointed investors. It's talking about brisk competition in the Canadian cannabis space, and it's warning that it's having trouble hanging on to market share.
With shares down from $70 to now $3 a share, with a valuation of just $1.41 billion. This is a far stretch from the $14 billion behemoth that Canopy Growth was once valued as. It's clear that Canopy Growth had a number of struggles throughout the years, whether it was from leadership woes to overexpansion to just being the first in a booming, brand new industry. Today, Canopy Growth is shutting down stores, laying off thousands, and still struggles to make profits. There are a number of reasons why Canopy Growth has struggled to remain a successful and profitable contender in the legal cannabis space, but regardless of the struggles that Canopy Growth has faced internally, public perception is still the number one issue for Canopy Growth, and for obvious reasons. The company has faced a number of legal battles, legal issues, but faces almost no repercussions for its actions. In the spring of 2014, RCMP officers in Kelowna, British Columbia prepared a press release about a big drug bust at a local airport. It describes how investigators had intercepted 2 shipments of marijuana of unfathomable quantity that were bound for a couple of licensed cannabis producers in Ontario, later determined to be Tweed Marijuana Inc. That press release, however, was never sent. More than 900 pages of internal reports obtained by the National Post reveal the lengthy deliberations that took place among RCMP members in BC and at RCMP headquarters in Ottawa over what, if anything, to tell the public about the March 31st, 2014 seizures at a Kelowna airport. Remember we mentioned the CEO having the Liberal Party in his back pocket? Well, this might just prove evidence of that. No repercussions. Smuggling cannabis, trafficking, international trafficking nonetheless. No repercussion. The Canada Revenue Agency also fined the pot company almost $500,000 in 2020 for allegedly growing cannabis on a Saskatchewan farm before it was licensed to do so, of which Canopy has since appealed. Now, of course, smuggling and illegal growing, not a good look for a billion-dollar company. No matter which way you shape it, Canopy Growth has struggled on just about every single level of business, except for the level of taking money from other people. However, it shows that no matter how much money you might have stashed up for any particular project, money alone can't build a business. You need to have thought. You need to have great people. And of course, you got to have a process that allows for all of those things to work together. Canopy Growth never had that. It seemed as if there was just a booming business that people just wanted to grab cash with, and unfortunately, it proved to be fruitless. Guys, that's all the time I have today. I appreciate you guys watching. If you enjoy these kind of deep dive videos, go ahead, leave a like and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Do you think you could have handled a $14 billion company just a little bit better than these guys did? Well, let's hear from you guys. I appreciate you tuning in, watching this. If you enjoy these deep dives, please consider leaving a like. Leave a comment below as well. Do you agree? Do you disagree with some of the handlings of the company? Could you have done it a little bit better? I want to hear from you. Until next time, my friends, much love. Stay medicated, eh? Because guess what? Life's better that way.